For 1 through 6, we are going to be identifying the parent function, identifying the transformations, and then writing the domain and range and interval notation. You can use either the equation or the actual graph itself to determine what the parent function is. So the parent function for this one, I see that I have something being squared, or it has that parabola shape. So both of those are indicators that this is a quadratic function. To determine the transformation, keep in mind if you're doing it graphically, each parent function passes through 0, 0 and 1, 1. Because of that U-shaped curve, I know the parent function also goes through -1, 1. Graphically, I can see that these points have all shifted to here. What's happened is they have moved right 6 units. I could have also looked at the equation. Keep in mind that the variable out front is a. Then you have something being raised to a power. It's x minus h plus k. When I look at this equation, there's a number inside of the parentheses with the x. That makes it the h value. Because it's x minus h, I am subtracting a positive 6. Think of it as a sign change. With h being 6, that's my horizontal transformations. That would explain right 6. Now, interval notation for domain and range, you have to know bracket versus parentheses. So bracket means included. Parentheses means it's not included. Domain is left to right, so it's the x values. Range is down to up, which is the y values. So left to right, down to up, it's always your negative to your positive movement. Let's take a look at this one. For my parabola, as the function itself moves to the left, it's going to keep going and going and going. Parabolas extend forever. So it's going to keep pushing to the left gradually. It's also going to push to the right gradually. So with that being said, if it's going left forever, that's negative infinity. If it's going right forever, that's positive infinity. So my domain is negative infinity to positive infinity. Both of those would have parentheses because infinity is not included on the graph. It's not something you can actually reach. There is a notation you can put. It's kind of like the paragraph symbol, but instead of a P, it's an R. That means all real numbers. So you could put this interval notation, or you can put this symbol for all real numbers. Now, range will not be all real numbers because it does not go down and up forever. Because remember, range is y values down to up. The lowest this function is ever going to go has a y value of 0. So 0 is the lowest it'll go. 0 will have a bracket because this point is included on the graph. It does go up forever, so that means that it's going to go up to positive infinity with the parentheses because it's not included. Next, we have a cubic function. I can tell it's cubic because of that shape, or by looking at the exponent, it's a 3. Transformation, you can think about the parent function excuse me, passing through 0, 0, 1, 1, negative 1, negative 1. Or you can look at the values. Excuse me. There's a number on the outside that makes it my k value. K is going to be 1. With k being 1, that means that you are going to move everything up 1 unit because k is your vertical transformation and it's positive, which would be up. Negative would be down. Domain and range. Domain is how the function is behaving to the left and to the right. This function will keep going to the left forever. The function will keep going to the right forever. That would be all real numbers. Or you could write negative infinity to positive infinity with parentheses. For the range, down to up. This function is going down forever and up forever, all real numbers. This is actually always going to be true for any cubic function that goes up and down forever. It will be all real numbers. This next one, the highest degree is 1. That makes it a linear function. Transformation. Now graphically, this can be kind of hard to see. We know that the parent functions pass through 0, 0, and 1, 1. Because of its shape, its linear shape, I also know it will pass through the point negative 1, negative 1. So the parent function looks something like this. Now it's located at 0, 0, 1, 3, negative 1, negative 3. If you ask yourself what caused this to happen graphically, well, it's moving at a faster rate, or these values have been vertically pulled, causing a stretch. If that was hard to notice, you could always look at the equation. The number out front is your a value, remember? So I see here I have a equals 3. Something will be a stretch if the absolute value of a is greater than 1. A compression is if the absolute value of a is between 0 and 1. 3 is greater than 1, causing the stretch. Linear functions, just like cubic functions, will have domain and range of all real numbers, since it goes left, right, up, and down forever. Square root functions, like this one, have a clear starting point and extend forever in one direction. You can either think about the parent function passing through 0, 0, 1, 1, try to notice the changes, or you can use the AH and K values. I typically like to use the AH and K values if I have them, because now you can see, hey, I have an A value. A is 1/2. Notice how the parent function 0, 0 to 1, 1, this goes from 3, 0 to 4, 1/2. Well, that is because there's been a compression. Keep in mind what we talked about up here. It's a compression if the absolute value of a is between 0 and 1. 1/2 is between 0 and 1. That's not the only transformation, though. I also have an h value. H is a positive 3 because you have that sign change. You can also see you move graphically right 3. Domain and range. You will never have all real numbers for domain and range on a square root function because of that starting point. Okay? You should have to actually look and write the domain and range looking at the graph. Domain is left to right. So the furthest left this ever goes for the domain has an x value of 3. 3 would have a bracket because it's included. It does go right forever, so that's positive infinity with the parentheses. Range, down to up. The lowest this ever goes has a y value of 0 with a bracket because it's included. This one does go up forever, so it's positive infinity with the parentheses. Now I want to talk about what happens if we were to have something like this, where it's going down instead of up, because that does change the domain and range. For this one, we still have a square root, but this time I have a negative a value. A negative a value causes a reflection. If you want to be specific, it's a reflection about the x-axis. So because of this reflection, and that's the only transformation because there's no h, there's no k, I'm going to write the domain and the range. Keep in mind, order does matter. Domain must be left to right. The furthest left this ever goes has an x value of 0 with a bracket because it's included. Now this is going right forever. Yes, I know it's going down. That comes in play with the range. This is going right forever. This is your positive x-axis. So I would say positive infinity with parentheses. Now range, down to up. Like I just said, this is going down forever. So that's negative infinity with parentheses. That must be listed first. Up, the highest it ever goes, will have a y value of 0 with a bracket because it's included. One more. This time we have a quadratic. I can tell because of that U-shaped curve called a parabola, or there's a degree of 2 there. Looking at my A, H, and K, A is 1. There's no stretch, there's no compression, there's no reflection. It's the same behavior as the parent function. So A doesn't do anything, but I do have an H and I do have a K. That does cause transformations. Don't forget, change the sign of the H value, keep the sign of the K value. So that means my transformations are left 4, since H is your horizontal, down 2, since K is your vertical. Domain and range. For parabolas, because of that U-shaped curve, it will always go left and right forever. Domain will always be all real numbers for any parabola, but it's the range that's restricted because of a max or min. So this time we have a minimum. Range is down to up. So the lowest it ever goes has a y value, so make sure you're looking at the y value, of -2 with a bracket because it's included. It does go up forever, so that's positive infinity with parentheses.